How are they doing? What do they know? They know everything. A couple of years ago, I had suggested that we read together, study together in the evenings, because my teenagers, at the time they were teenagers, were not reading their Bible without me in reminding them. And even when they reminded, they weren't reading it always. So I said, okay, let's do something together as a family so that so at least there's some spiritual food I'm giving them. So we agreed, and of course the books were not practical Christianity books that their father wanted us to read, because then it's too in his face that he's not following those practical Christian steps of a true Christian man. So we were reading, and one day we came to David and Bathsheba. I think it was David, and I told my children, guys, I would rather you were single for the rest of your lives, as your mother. I would rather you were single and happy for the rest of your lives than married and miserable. And my daughter quickly said, no, but there's hope. You're happy. And at that time, I didn't have the courage I now have. And I couldn't tell her, no, I'm not happy at all. I'm not happy. I didn't. But then last year, things built up. It was getting worse. There were times years ago I would ask, why are you not answering me? Is this how you treat your colleagues? I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't. And I know when he's talking to a woman on the phone because he puts on this flirtatious voice. There are all these signs of narcissism where with you, they give you the silent treatment, and with someone else, they're this bubbly, charming person who laughs, and meanwhile with you, you're like, you don't exist. You don't matter. You know, we were learning in Adventist home, how about you must think of your spouse's happiness. Nope, not even comfort. Forget happiness, even my comfort. It was just whatever. And I'll give you an example. I So I waited, and then last year, he put them in touch with one of his enmeshed family members who is a gossip and a liar, who has lied about lots of things, even claiming they have cancer when we've never seen any evidence of that, saying a lot of things that were untrue, even on their social media. So, yeah, he put them in touch with one of those people. And I was saying, but why would you do that? Especially without one of us being present to make sure that we guide the conversation, because this person is bad news, really bad news. They love to cause havoc, to be cruel to people. And for my children to be exposed to someone like that, what would they gain? Anyway, then the problem was me. I was disrespectful. I'm always the problem. Even when he gave 400,000 rand to one of his other siblings for some project that was not even really right, I had refused. I'd begged, don't. We need this. You know, when you're married in community of property, all income belongs to both of you. And when you're Christian, all income belongs to both of you, and you should both respect each other enough to plan how money will be spent. I've always I've always said, okay, you're giving me this amount, I'm going to buy this with it. And it's always not a problem. It's not a problem. It's something that you're going to gain from. But this was a project giving money to someone who is an absolute failure, who's got no ethics, no morals. Why would you give 400,000 rand to someone who has no morals? That means they have no principles. Why? But it went despite my saying no. That's financial abuse. It went. It was going to be an investment. It didn't happen at all. Instead, there was not only no increase, the money was never seen again. Just like I'd said. Man, people have gone through a lot that I kept quiet. Those elders knew. The one elder knew for sure. Yeah. When I think of all the needs our children have, when I think of the fact that we still have a bond on this house, we still owe money on it, it just breaks my heart that I don't matter, I'm not heard. Story, my children. So after that interaction, and where the children themselves had a negative time with that relative who I had said they should not have been exposed to, during one of the holidays when my daughter came back, let's go back. I'm a homeschool teacher. I've been a homeschool teacher all my life. Their father has never come and said, hey, let's look at how your school went today. How are their tests going? Never said, okay, how far are they with geography? How was the day? Did they have any problems with any concepts? How hectic was your day? How easy was it? Look, there's no interest whatsoever in my work, because it's looked down upon by him as not work and not a contribution. I'm a teacher, but I'm not contributing. I'm not doing work. Make it make sense. It's an evil form of abuse to treat someone like they're nothing when they're everything. So I've been teaching my children myself, all on my own, all these years. And then you have your O levels equivalent, and then you've got your AS levels, right? For us, you needed two IGCSE and four AS levels to get a matric exemption. You needed all the marks to be a D or higher, right? I know my children very well. I taught my children myself. I was the one giving them past papers for exam preparation. I saw the struggles they had with certain subjects. I knew their abilities. And though my son passed one particular subject, he had struggled with it terribly. But now the question was, so do we use that subject in IGCSE and give it as give that IGCSE mark, the O level, as the mark for applying for university, or does he continue with it and use a different mark and use that study again for AS levels and then use the mark for the AS levels for this subject that he struggled in? I said no. Keep the subject for using your B that you got for IGCSE, and then move on using a different subject for which you got an A, physics. I said do physics and use that mark for your AS level, 2+4 to get your matric equivalent. He too had agreed because he really struggled. He was actually amazed that he'd gotten a B with all the struggling. And then, so that was the plan. I am the homeschool teacher. I taught. I marked those exams on my own. I would be still lying in bed at 8 p.m. He would come in, turn off the light because I need to sleep. I need to sleep because I'm going to wake up early and go and run at 4:30 a.m. So, too bad. I don't care that you're taking care of our children's education. Lights off. So I would go to another room and go work there. But it's painful sitting. Sitting is sore. Even now, I'm on a cushion. As I told my daughter, I've got bone marrow edema. So the bone marrow in my bones is swollen. Right? Inside there, it's swollen. So now when you're putting pressure on something that's swollen by sitting on it, yeah. Next thing, my son comes and says, Mom, for the first time in my life, Dad sat us down, sat me down, and he had an actual conversation with me. I hope that was noted. And the gist of the conversation, people, was that there's no such thing as strengths and weaknesses in school subjects. We can do all subjects and pass them all well. And so don't quit. Don't quit this, what's it called, that subject, computer science. You must continue it. I didn't just give up when I failed something in university. I did it and I passed because life revolves around me. And just because I passed, therefore everyone else can. They'd be stupid if they don't pass. So he said, I will do it again. My child got an E, or was an F. He got an E. Okay, let's try again. Let's go give you a professional. He still got an E because it is his weakness. It is not a strength. And so because of that E, my son did not get a full matric university entrance exemption. He got into college. He can get into university for a higher certificate, but he can't get into university for a diploma nor a degree, all because he listened to someone who had never been his teacher. So I sat them down that holiday. I called them right here where I'm sitting. And I said, okay, Marissa, my daughter, my oldest daughter, you made a comment some time ago saying that there's hope in marriage because I'm happy. Judging by what happens in this home, I want you to think of it. What is said to me by the person I'm married to that makes you feel like I'm happy? How am I treated? How am I spoken about? How am I helped? How am I affirmed? How am I supported? You know, that's what I wanted. I wanted them to speak about their observations. And there it was. Well, now that you think of it, one said, Dad has never said anything positive about you teaching us even though you're sick. He's never said, how in the world are you teaching 5 children and keeping control of a 6th hectic, non-verbal child at the same time? How are you doing that? You are amazing. He's never said, this workload is way too much. That's what they noticed. Another one said, and there was the time when you stood up and your leg gave way, especially this is the leg. It gives way when you stand on it. It can't carry my weight, thanks to AS. And so you screamed, Mom, and you almost fell. And Dad laughed. So I said, yeah. So do you think I'd be happy knowing that my husband is laughing at me in the worst moments of my pain? And she said, and there are other times too that he mocks you and laughs about you being in pain. He says he mocks you when you couldn't take a walk as long as you wanted because of pain and limping. And they brought up all these things they have noticed. Mom, it's like since 2018. After 2018, he never again called you his beautiful wife. He doesn't kiss you. He doesn't hug you. And when we're studying Bible, you will say things that are true and clear, and he will argue with you and claim your understanding is wrong. But it's right there, like 3 paragraphs down, what you said, your understanding is actually written in what we're studying. It's there. But then because he put you down so hard, I get scared to also speak up and say, but what Mom is saying is true. And that is something I had told my best friend, my warrior friend. And I told that elder that even studying the Bible is just, it's bad because I'm corrected for things I'm right about. Come in, only their observations. Things like, not mentioning anything positive about me nor about them. Always coming in and boasting. It comes across as boasting. I fired so and so. I fired this person. It's strong. It's so unchristian to rejoice in firing people, in having power that fires people, and boasting about this particular performance that you got a wonderful, what's it called, review on, that kind of stuff. That's what they hear. They never hear anything about their mom or themselves. The other thing that I will mention, because it's part of narcissism, is that feeling that you're superior to other people. They will come and say, wow, we read in this book that, I don't know, there are 600 insects in flamingo flay. I can't remember any point that I can make up. And he will say, oh, but did you know that flamingo flay is just a small part of table view? And in table view, there are actually 1 million insects. And the most common insect is the grasshopper. That kind of thing. And it happens so often that they said, that's why we come to you, Mom, and tell you things, because we leave feeling like we're insignificant and that we aren't clever enough and that we don't know enough and that what we shared is not worth sharing. And she said, I remember when I told you they were reading a book, and I remember the book as well. We were in the kitchen, we were talking about it. She was saying that, oh wow, because they had just gotten their licenses, driving licenses, and she was saying, whoo, it says here if there's a teenager driving the car, there's double the chance of an accident. If there are two teenagers in the car, one obviously driving, one passenger, the risk it quadruples to four times the risk of an accident when there are two teenagers or more in the car. And I said, oh my word, see now guys, that's why I'm so worried about you. That's what I told them, I'm so worried about you. I want you to be safe. And she said, that was affirming of me and my point. You didn't put me down. You didn't say those are skewed stats. You didn't say who made that research. And that is exactly how I used to be answered. Well, who did that research anyway? It was just, you can't converse with someone who is like that. I don't know why I did this. If I had known that my children would also be dealing with this. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot that they've noticed all the time when he's running marathons, right? But they said, but he's taught at church we shouldn't take part in competitive sports. We shouldn't even really do any sports, we should just exercise or work in the gardens, that kind of thing, which is what our founder says. And he uses the Bible. There should be no emulation, striving to be better than anyone else. The mind of Christ is to be humble and not to be better than someone else. All those principles he taught in the churches, many churches, they were present. And now he's running marathons. And the thing that they remember is him saying, soccer players, males, wear shorts and short t-shirts. They're immodest. So even watching those things, it's not necessary to watch them. We gain nothing from watching them. It doesn't help God's kingdom in any way, and it doesn't fill us with any pure thoughts, whatever it was. And now he's running with naked women. We don't understand that, Mom. It's like Dad's spirituality went down and has remained down, Mom. And my poor child, one of them, says, and the worst part is, a few years ago, I had said I would love to enter a bike race. Not to win, but just to just to ride the bicycle and feel the crowd atmosphere. And Dad said, but then if you do that, people won't know that you're not trying to win. People will assume you want to win. And then that is not, as the Bible says, avoiding the appearance of evil. You're not doing so because they don't know what's in your heart. They can only see the fruits. You can cycle on your own. You can cycle with two people. You don't need to join a race to cycle and cycle fast. But now he's running marathons and he's proud of them. Hypocrisy, people. Hypocrisy is a killer. And it is a killer because I know a young man in their family who said I'm the only one who's a Christian. Until he met me, he just thought all Adventists are fake. And so the God they worship cannot exist because the God they worship, they claim, is all-powerful. An all-powerful God can help you to be like him and have a heart like his. But none of the people he knew had a heart like Christ's until he met me. And so he hated that I called myself on my blog imperfect mom of two, perfect mom of three. I went up as the children increased, imperfect. He said, but you're perfect. But I know I'm not. I know I'm not. But I'm hoping to never put I'm hoping to stop you from putting yourself and any potential children in a situation where the environment will be demeaning to their hearts and selves, where the environment will make them question Christianity as a whole. That's my hope for you guys. So that's where the children are. They know, they expressed things they've seen. And so I asked them, so do you think I'm happy? And they said, no way. No wife could ever be happy with a husband who never says anything positive about them, never sees their work, never says, I'll take over from this, my wife. There was a time she remembered that I begged him for some meal because I don't eat what they eat because I've got IBS. So I can't eat gluten, I can't eat this, I can't eat that I'd made for them for their meal. And she remembers when I asked him if he could buy me that meal, he said, use your own money. And she said, what kind of a husband won't use 80 Rand to buy his wife a meal when she's asked after she's worked so hard and hurt her body so much standing to cook for him? And there we are. Meanwhile, he's giving thousands and thousands to his floozy in Santon. You have, yeah. So I told them, that's when I told them about the 2016 affair. I felt like, it was the time when I felt like there is another woman. I didn't know yet. I told them about the 2016 affair. They know it all. They know everything, their observations and the hidden things. That's where we are. And so now, after that talk, they now come and say, Mom, this is another thing. And they mention, now they're now more open. Or they'll tell me that you said we must give her whatever, especially our non-speaker. We must give her, I said you must give her noodles, and then he tells us, no, we mustn't give her noodles. And I asked them, if we ever divorce, when we divorce, asked one, what kind of visitation would you want? Because the way my children are being parented, the way it's all me, the meals, the medicine, the meals, the dishing out, the watching them, there's so much I could, yeah. Someone who's on their phone and meantime children are spitting on each other's toys in the same room, but they're too busy on their phone to see that. And then my child comes running crying to me when there was an adult in the room. I can't leave my children with someone like that. Especially when they're special needs, and their special needs are not understood, because instead of studying their special needs, he sends their results and reports to his floozy. And the one oldest child said, really, I would want 1 day visit once a month. Just all, like literally a day, a morning, afternoon, and then I'm gone. That's how bad narcissism is, and how it affects not only the wife, but the children. They saw it, they felt it, they couldn't put it into words, and now they can. So they send me memes or posters describing narcissistic fathers, and they're like, this is his dad. Isn't that sad? That rhymed. I made a terrible choice based on a warped understanding of my God, and he's the one who will see me through and see us through. While we suffer here together, hoping for freedom, God will keep us through. He will keep us. While he has his fun with his floozy, I will have my sisterhood, my conversations with those who understand and hurt with me.